distinguished guests, ministers, we are now starting the press conference of the joint government session, Hungary and the Prime Minister of both countries, Mickoski and Viktor Orban. After what, you will have the opportunity to ask few questions. The press conference will start with the President of the Macedonian government. Thank you. Distinguished representatives of the media, distinguished citizens, dear friends. Today I have the honor of welcoming my colleague, Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who together with his delegation is in a two-day visit to our country. This visit is a proof of the excellent friendly relations and the cooperation between the two countries, which are deepening with each passing day. The Macedonian and the Hungarian people, the Macedonian and the Hungarian citizens, are tied with deeply rooted friendship and mutual respect. Throughout the years, our people have shown that in spite of the geographic distance, the shared and common values and visions are key for building strong ties. Hungary has always supported us, both in difficult times and in our efforts for our European integration. Today, through concrete initiatives and agreements, this friendship continues to be deepened, creating solid base for our future cooperation. History bears witness of our efforts for peace and cooperation. Hungary was one of our first strategic partners, recognizing our effort for sovereignty. With years, the political and economic ties between the two countries have been deepened, and today's meetings only reaffirm our strategic alliance. Hungary is not only our partner on the European stage, but also it serves an example for how one country can successfully balance the national sovereignty with the global integration. Hungary has always been a strong supporter of the enlargement of the European Union and our aspirations for full-fledged membership. We are sharing joint vision with our Hungarian friends for integrated Balkan, where all countries in the region will be part of the large European family. This vision does not refer only to the political and economic integration, but also of our cultural, historic relation, which is of key importance for the stability of the Balkan Peninsula. I believe that with the support of Hungary and all other allies, the Balkans will have its own place in the European Union. Today we had a constructive tete-a-tete meeting on which we discussed a broad spectrum of topics of bilateral importance. We are sharing a common vision for the regional stability and economic prosperity, and today's talks were focusing on concrete projects that will stimulate the development of our businesses. Furthermore, we discussed the strategic projects such as North-South Transport Corridor, which connects the Balkans with Hungary and which is of particular importance for the energy security and growth of the whole region. And our cooperation with Hungary will be key for successful implementation of these initiatives. On behalf of the government and in my personal name, I would like to extend my appreciation to Prime Minister Orban for his support and friendship. Hungary is an example of how strong bilateral relations and common vision can bring concrete results. I believe that this visit will contribute to even stronger partnership and possibilities for cooperation, which will be accomplished in the interest of our citizens. Once again, thank you for your attendance today here. Thank you, Prime Minister Mickoski. Now we will give the floor to the Prime Minister of the Hungarian government. You may take the floor. Good day, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I hope that I can speak in Hungarian. Are we good with the interpretation? I'm glad that we can be here in North Macedonia. Thank you for the invitation from the Macedonian government. And I would like to convey the greetings from the people of Hungary, the Hungarian people to the Macedonian people, because we are speaking of two friendly countries. The journalists, I would like to inform you that today's meeting was our 18th meeting between me and Prime Minister Mickoski. And it is no secret that the party of the Prime Minister and our party, Fidesz, have brotherly ties, but we have never mixed the party work and the state work. But it is always good for these brotherly parties to be in power because they can exchange their activities. Therefore, I invited the Prime Minister to visit Hungary and for the next intergovernmental session between our two countries to be held in Hungary. I'm visiting this country for the third time, and I believe that this is the best moment because this year we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the establishment of the diplomatic relations between the two countries. And this is a good occasion because, in our opinion, both people have long history, historic traditions, and both people share the same characteristics for preserving the national interests, the national freedom. And this is very important. It is important to preserve our ideals, to preserve our national pride, and I believe you will agree with me, with us in fact, that for one nation it is most important to preserve its national pride. The most important topic, as you could have heard from the esteemed Prime Minister, is of course the membership of Macedonia into the European Union, and Hungary, presiding with the European Union, logically was to put this on the agenda, and that is why we discussed this today. You all know the standpoint of Hungary. It is very important to have stability in the Western Balkan region. It is very important for the European Union. Membership of one country is not a challenge, is not a problem, it is an opportunity. For all EU member states, but also for Hungary. We all had the opportunity to see that by becoming a member, we all gained a lot, we progressed a lot, but the European Union, in the meantime, lost its dynamic, and that is why we need to secure the enlargement, because this is the best way to go forward. We are not circumventing the fact that Ukraine and Moldova received their extraordinarily accelerated procedures for membership. We must have the geopolitical factor in mind, and we must respect the fact that there are many countries who have been working for years to become members of the EU, and now they are not the first topic on the agenda, and this is not fair on our part. And that is why we, being presiding with the EU, believe it is very important to keep the enlargement on the agenda, especially when it comes to the Western Balkans. And according to this, we would like to accelerate the membership process of North Macedonia into the European Union. We are ready for this. We can have intergovernment conferences, and if this does not happen, then we will continue with bilateral meetings. If the Prime Minister allows, I would only like to add a few more words on the past years. The peoples and the countries of the Western Balkans deserve much more from what they receive from Brussels. I must say that these two countries should have become members of the EU many years ago. North Macedonia is a candidate country as of 2002, together with Croatia. It started its journey with Croatia. In 2008, together with the Croatians, they received the first positive report from the European Commission, and as of then, the Croatians became members, and Macedonia hasn't even started the negotiations, and this is an enormous mistake of the European Union. And I would say that it is a historic mistake. Now this mistake can be doubled because North Macedonia will now stay behind Albania, and I don't see the reasons for this. This will be an enormous challenge for this government to fight this dishonest viewpoint. I would like to add a few more words on the bilateral cooperation. I want to say that during the summer, we have already provided assistance with almost 50 firefighters. We provided assistance for the fires with serious technological equipment, and I hope that our firefighters did their job well and they succeeded in helping you. I would like to add that I underline this because, in essence, this is our response to the assistance that we received in 2015 and 2016 from Macedonia regarding the migrant crisis. And at that time, we became aware that North Macedonia is not a friendly country, but it is a country of key importance for the security of the Hungarian state. Since your country is on the crossroad route of migrant route, if you do not tackle the illegal migration, then we will need to do that alone. And that is why it is very important to us for you to have a successful government that will prevent the migrant influx. And if there is a need, we are willing to help you in any way we can. We concluded in our discussions today that so far there were many police officers, more than 2,000 Hungarian police officers, who secured the borders and prevented illegal migrants. And this is a good example for the cooperation. And of course, this is one of the explanations that Hungary is ready to start the financial cooperation, and that is how we want to contribute towards the increase of the security in Macedonia. It is very important to us for North Macedonia to have a stable government, a strong government, which will be capable of doing its homework. Moreover, we want to help you in the process of EU accession. We have positive and negative experiences. We are willing to share them. And in that regard, we ask your government to give us the form and the content in which Hungary can assist you. Hungary has its funds that may be invested to Macedonia and to Macedonians, and the Macedonian government is the one that needs to say where do they need this help. Hungary is also providing assistance in the area of education. It provides scholarships for Macedonian students to study on the territory of Hungary, and we would like to continue this in future. Distinguished Prime Minister, we're waiting for you in Hungary. Now it is time for questions. Can we be concise? Because previously we had a short agreement and coordination. Now we would start with Elena from Alpha TV. Good day, Elena Mickoski, Alpha TV. First of all, welcome for Prime Minister Viktor Orban. My question is, Prime Minister, I agree completely that the economy is a key part for the development of our country, and I would like to ask a question on that matter. You agreed on a loan with Prime Minister Christian Mickoski, Hungarian loan. There have been several speculations in the public, information also, that the money come from China, taking into consideration that you had a loan from the People's Republic of China. Is this true? Is the money coming from Hungary, Hungarian or Chinese? First of all, I would like to say from the aspect of Hungary, the economy is not the most important matter. It is the second most important question. When it comes to the two countries, the primary issue is the issue of security and fight against migration. In Hungary, all matters, all questions are resolved from the aspect of security. The countries that play greater security role in our country, then we are establishing better connections with them. When it comes to the loan, we cannot provide Chinese loan. We cannot give Chinese money because we have an agreement with China that the money coming from China are allocated to concrete projects for development of Hungary. So we cannot give you Chinese money. We can give you European money, and that is what we are going to give. Question for Prime Minister Orban on a global level. Mr. Orban, you are a supporter of the former American President Trump. You publicly supported his campaign. I presume you expect that he will win the following elections. What influence do you expect that it will have over Europe and the ongoing war in Ukraine? Thank you. Yes, it is true, not just now, but also in 2015, 2016, we were supporters of President Trump for several reasons, without intending of interfering into the American elections. We have a practice that Hungary does not interfere the Hungarian election processes. We do not intend to interfere the American election processes. We are convinced that the Western elite is in a closed circle, and if we are not successful in our job, then we should ask ourselves, why are we losing on the level of the world stage? Because in the Western world, there is an elite, a closed elite. I can see our profession that if we do not have new people from the outside, if we do not have new impulses from the outside, then these current democratic politicians, old-fashioned intellectuals, will not be able to deal with the challenges. And that is why we need to have some new blood to renew ourselves. And if on the world stage, in the transatlantic stage, we have new people who are dynamic and who can bring something new, then we should support this. The United States of America play a key role in the world peace, and if we have an American president who desires war, then we will have war. When in America we have a president who opposes the war, then we will not have war. If we have a strong American president in the then we will have peace. Our experience shows that the current president candidate, Trump, has already been a president. We know his presidency, we know his way of functioning. He is on the side of peace. And since we need peace, we would like to have a president of the United States who is in favor of peace. Lepa, TV24 and Ivana Kanal 5. Lepa Джунтова, TV24. I have a question to Prime Minister Orban. You said that EU made a historic mistake with us and that it is a double mistake now with the decoupling. Why the Hungarian ambassador voted in favor of the decoupling of the package and continuation of the negotiations of Albania alone in October? Will Hungary do anything towards the end of the year to open the first cluster? Maybe you will send someone for coffee in the EU? And Prime Minister Mickoski, what are the following steps regarding the enlargement? My colleague said something about the unfair treatment of the EU. And just another question. In general, how do you view the relation of the European Union towards Macedonia in the past years? And in a statement, you said that you are coming to help overcoming the problem, the conflict that Macedonia has with Bulgaria. How are you planning to do that? Yes, it seems right now that the next station for North Macedonia is to agree with Bulgaria, and I have a proposal, and I conveyed that proposal to the Prime Minister, and I told him that we are ready to use the EU presidency to provide mediation on this matter. Whether the parties are ready to accept Hungary as a mediator, that will be their own decision, but we are ready and we want to work on this, on finding a solution that will be suitable for both Macedonia and Bulgaria. But this is a matter of the parties that are involved in this conflict. We are here to offer our best assistance. And now the next question is the decoupling from Albania. It is difficult to understand this. It is difficult for a nation to be continuously disillusioned with the commencement of the negotiations. And after all those years with which this country has started this process, has started its journey, they're all progressing, and this nation is kept in the background. I would like to underline that the national pride is the most important for a nation, and the European Union must take into consideration the national pride of all countries. And what happens with Macedonia, it is a violation of the national pride of the citizens of North Macedonia. And in the past 10 years, this has been happening constantly. And if we are fair, you should have become a member of the European Union a long time ago. And this treatment of the European Union, of course, is creating wounds. We should create friendships. We should not violate the country. And that is why I believe that it is a great mistake that you are still not a member of the European Union, and it is also a great mistake that you are being decoupled from another country that is going forward. And that is why I can see the solution that you, by the end of the year, must start the membership negotiations with the EU. Тамара Гранчаровска, Tilma TV. Yes, there was a question also for me. We should not lose hope. We should not be disappointed, because although we have been disappointed on many occasions in the past decades, I am truly sorry that this is happening, and I'm truly sorry that we must be the victim of the bilateral questions and not of meeting the Copenhagen criteria. But we will continue working. We will continue resolving the problems at home, which are quite many. We have inherited them from the previous government, and it is good that we have friends within the frameworks of the European Union. It is good that these friends want to spread our voice into the EU. One of these great friends and supporters is the Prime Minister Orban. And what happened these 2 days in Ohrid is a signal of friendship and support that we have. I wish all the best to the Albanian government in the negotiation process. I wish them to complete this process very fast and to become a member state of the EU. I truly hope that we will also be part of this family someday. We'll sit on that table. And I'm very sorry that only 2 parties were satisfied with this decision, and that is without exception the politicians in our eastern neighbors and the opposition in our country. These are the only 2 parties that are happy with this decision of the European Union, which is not fair, but it also sends us a wrong message, a bad message for the Macedonian citizens. But we are real politicians. We must deal with reality, not with fantasy. We will continue working tirelessly. We will continue resolving our domestic problems, and maybe one day we will be assessed for the meeting of the Copenhagen criteria and not for the bilateral matters that mostly reflect the middle century, the works that have happened thousands of years ago. We want to speak of the future, and this is the essence of the existence of the European Union. Thank you. Tamara, Tilma TV. Prime Minister Mickoski, I would like to ask you regarding the party, because Mr. Orban said in the beginning that Fidesz and VMRO are brotherly parties. And I would like to ask you whether you expect any reactions from the European national parties on this brotherly approximation between the 2 parties towards VMRO Dopomene, taking into consideration that Fidesz was excluded from the European People's Parties. Do you expect any reaction on this? Thank you for your question. I was witness of such a narrative from many prime ministers who come from the European People's Parties towards the leftist government that robbed the country in the past 7 years. I would like to remind you of the statements of Boyko Borisov, who at that time addressed the Prime Minister Zoran Zaev that they are brothers and that the parties are brotherly parties, and I did not see any reactions from the European People's Parties. Yes, I can reaffirm what the Prime Minister of Hungary said, Mr. Viktor Orban, that although we are part of the European People's Party and Fidesz as a political party is not part of the European People's Parties, on the level of parties we have exceptionally quality cooperation, high cooperation. high-level cooperation, and Prime Minister Orban is here in the capacity of Prime Minister and chairperson of the European Union. Next question. A journalist from Hungary, Mr. Wasla. Good day, everyone. I would like to ask a question. Since Macedonia is on the Balkan migrant route, how do you view the possibility to deepen the cooperation in the area of fight against illegal migration? Migration is a matter that will remain with us in the next decades, and if someone thinks that this will stop, that the migration will stop, will disappear, then I can say that they're disillusioned, because migration happens due to wars, and migration brings demographic regroupment throughout the world. You know that parts of Africa and the Mediterranean have serious differences in the demographic processes, and we also face the demographic explosion in the African countries. And if we do not prevent this, then we can expect that through the Mediterranean, in Europe, we can have more than 100 million of people. And we can conclude that the problem with the migration does not refer to the next 30 or 40 years, but to the next 70 or 80 years. I'm happy with the fact that here on the Western Balkans, we have people who, throughout their history, have learned what we have also learned. We've all learned our lesson that this is not something new, but we know that this migration happened in the past. We know what it brought to us, and that is why we must have a strategic cooperation in the fight against illegal migration, starting from Greece through Macedonia, then to Hungary. And it would be good if we include in this cooperation the Western European countries, but if they are not ready to protect their borders, then we'll have this challenge that we already faced. While we are fighting the migrants' influx in our region, we can expect that we'll have a migrant influx from our behind. And that is why we need to know that we have prepared some cooperation on many concrete matters. And if we want to preserve our cultural identity, if we want to preserve our national determination, the Christianity also, then we must protect ourselves. And that is why we are asking for partners, for partnering countries that will be ready to cooperate with us. And that is why, from the aspect of Hungary, we see that Macedonia has historical knowledge on this matter with regards to the historic events. The same goes for Serbia. We want to have cooperation with them, which in the next 30 or 40 years will enable us to preserve our historic and cultural traditions, and therefore we must have this cooperation on the level of governments with regards to the migration, but also with regards to all other matters. And that is why we are here. That is why I brought the members of my cabinet here. so that we can establish cooperation not only between the prime ministers, but also between the ministers of both governments, and in this way we will reinforce our cooperation. I would like to ask a question for Prime Minister Orban. We can say that in the European Union, some of the member states are starting to reevaluate their relations on the migration. What do you think about this? I would, on this matter, what I would like to say that the politicians are reevaluating their viewpoints. They assess that the European people have benefits from the migration, and in the very beginning we were opposing this. We believed that this cannot bring any benefit for no one. And the bigger countries in the European Union had some other views. And now their views are changing. They are maturing, and now they should change their viewpoints on this matter. But this is not an easy thing to do. They must find a way in which they will explain to citizens. How can they do that? We've never had doubts on this. How should we deal with this issue? This would be all. We have other items on the agenda, so we would complete the press conference here. Thank you very much.